3 weeks before my wedding, I was in the kitchen peeling oranges with my future mother-in-law when a message popped up on my fiancé's phone. Not a scandal, not a confession, just a soft little sentence that read, "I miss your voice, Bunny. Your wife doesn't understand you like I do." I remember blinking, peeling another slice. My fingers didn't stop moving, but inside I knew right then I wasn't about to marry a cheater. I was about to marry a man being hunted by a woman who smiled in filters and lied in lowercase. Her name was Madison Blake. She didn't want my husband, she wanted his last name, his access, his future. And she had no idea that standing between her and that fairy tale was not just me, but a mother-in-law who made CEOs cry in boardrooms. Let's just say, if she thought I was the soft one in this family, she picked the wrong wedding to crash. 3 weeks before the wedding, I was peeling oranges at the kitchen island while Evelyn, my future mother-in-law, sliced ginger for tea. Her kitchen always smelled like something expensive and herbal, like a spa that also settled lawsuits. Logan was upstairs on a Zoom call with his hospital preceptors, or so I thought. His phone was face up on the counter next to the fruit bowl. He never hid it because he never had anything to hide. Until that night. It vibrated once, then again. The preview lit up Bunny. "You're quiet today. Still thinking about our last ride?" I paused mid-peel. The pith stuck to my nail. "Evelyn," I said, keeping my voice casual. "Who do you think calls Logan Bunny?" She looked up sharply, cleaver still in hand. "If it's not you, then it better be a rabbit." I picked up the phone, unlocked, scrolled. The thread was long, not months, but dense. Photos, emojis, TikTok links, memes captioned, "When your heart belongs to someone who can't say it out loud." Her name was Madison Blake. I didn't know her, but she knew me. One message stood out. "I know she hates me. I can feel it, but it's okay. I can wait. One day you'll choose real love over obligation." Evelyn leaned over my shoulder. "Tell me that isn't some PR girl from the hospital." "She's not. She's an old classmate. He mentioned her once. Barely." Evelyn wiped her hands and took the phone. 10 seconds later, she was calling him downstairs like she ran a courtroom, not a kitchen. Logan jogged in, still in scrubs. "What's up?" Evelyn held up the phone like a crucifix. "You want to tell us why your middle school seatmate thinks she's your soulmate?" He blinked. "Wait," what I stared at him. "She called you Bunny." His face contorted like he'd swallowed a live bug. I didn't even reply to her. "You didn't have to," I said. "She's holding full conversations with your silence." He snatched the phone, scrolled. "I swear, Rachel, I ran into her at the hospital weeks ago. She asked for my number, said it was for a networking group. I didn't think that Evelyn interrupted is your first mistake. Thinking women like her do anything without a long-term plan." Logan looked up, pleading. "I didn't flirt. I didn't touch her. I didn't even like the TikToks she sent." "Did you block her?" I asked. His silence answered that. I grabbed the phone from his hand and blocked her myself. Then I opened TikTok, searched her handle, and saw the latest video. There she was. Madison, all soft lighting and overexposed cheeks, sitting in what was clearly Logan's car. Passenger seat, smile like she owned the place. When he says he has to go home to his fiancée, "But you know he'll think about you anyway, 30,000 likes." I handed the phone to Evelyn. She watched it in silence. Then with perfect calm said, "She's not just coming for him. She's coming for you, and she wasn't wrong, because that was Madison's real power. She never kicked down doors. She made people open them for her thinking they were doing a favor. But not this time. This time, she knocked on a door that had 2 women behind it, and neither of us was letting her in. 2 days later, I walked into the hospital with iced coffee in one hand and my spine straight enough to slice glass. I didn't tell Logan I was coming. That wasn't the point. The point was Madison Blake had started this in public, so she was going to be ended the same way. I waited near the admin wing just outside the nurse's station, where Logan usually stopped for his mid-morning rounds. I leaned against the wall, sipping my drink and pretending to scroll. And right on cue, there she was, Madison in a pencil skirt and a soft pink blouse that looked just a little too intentional for hospital dress code. Hair in curls, glossy lips, holding a reusable tumbler like she just cared about the planet and not my future husband. Logan rounded the corner. He smiled when he saw her, not flirtatiously, just the awkward reflex men have when they don't know a storm is coming. She stepped in front of him. "Logan," she chirped. "Hey, I was just thinking. I owe you lunch. For you know all the help last week. You're not booked this afternoon, are you?" He shifted, clearly uncomfortable. "Madison." "I really can't, I know," she said quickly, too quickly. "Just something casual. You used to love that Korean place on 6th Right. I didn't wait." I stepped forward. Madison's smile froze. "Hey, babe," I said brightly to Logan. "Your schedule open up because Evelyn just made reservations for 3. He blinked, then smiled in relief. "Oh, yeah. That sounds perfect." Madison glanced between us, her hand still on his arm. I looked at it. So did she. She let go. "I don't think we've met," she said with fake sweetness. I held out my hand. "Rachel Morgan, fiancé, tax accountant, woman who owns the lease on Logan's condo." Her jaw tightened. "Oh, wow. He never mentioned he did I cut in, but it probably didn't stick. You were busy calling him Bunny." Logan let out the smallest cough. Madison's eyes narrowed, but her voice stayed syrupy. "Well, I didn't mean to intrude. I was just trying to be friendly." "Of course," I said, nodding. "You seem like the kind of woman who's friendly to everyone's fiancé." She flinched. Just a flicker. But I saw it. You know, I added, "It's funny." When a woman calls my man Bunny in public, films herself in his car, and posts it with a caption that implies he's cheating, some people might call that delusional. But me, I call it content. And lucky for me, I'm great at documenting everything. Her lips parted. I smiled. "You wanted attention. This is it." Logan gently touched my back. "We should go." I nodded. "Yeah, Evelyn hates late people." We started walking away, and I turned over my shoulder one last time. "Oh, and Madison," I said sweetly. "Next time you want to offer my fiancé lunch, just bring snacks. He already has a full course at home." Her mouth hung open. I didn't wait for her to shut it. It dropped on a Thursday. I was in the middle of reconciling quarter-end invoices when my phone exploded. Texts, mentions, 2 Slack DMs from coworkers I barely talked to, all with the same question. "Is this about you?" I clicked the link, and there she was, Madison Blake, tearful in soft lighting, speaking directly into her front camera like she'd just survived a documentary-worthy tragedy. There's something I need to say, not for drama, but because I deserve to tell my story. Cue piano music. I fell in love with someone who forgot how to be kind. He's engaged to a woman who controls his every move. She checks his phone stocks. His coworkers threatens anyone who talks to him. I've been harassed, shamed, and bullied for simply existing. She blinked, perfectly timed. "I'm not here to take anyone's man. I'm here to remind women that you don't have to destroy someone just because you're insecure. Hashtag Sierra silent victim. Hashtag down protect women. Hashtag down naughty fan of Rachel. I stared at the screen for a full 10 seconds before exhaling through my nose, because I knew her angle now. She wasn't just the other woman. She was trying to brand herself as a movement. And the comments, "You're so brave. That Rachel girl sounds unhinged. Protect this angel at all costs." Except there was one comment that made me smile, because it read, "Anyone got the full story. Something smells fake." And the reply, "Evelyn Pierce, no I see, stay tuned." That night, Evelyn called. "Are you mad?" she asked. "Because if you are, I can either light a candle or light a match." I laughed. "You saw the video, I saw the performance," she said. "And I already know how it ends. I'm handling it. How I'm going live in an hour." "You're going, what, Rachel?" she said calmly. I built a multi-million-dollar beauty empire with nothing but SPF and sarcasm. I can handle a TikTok gremlin with a ring light. 1 hour later, Evelyn was sitting in her home office, hair pulled back, red lipstick sharp enough to draw blood, framed degrees behind her like silent witnesses. She looked into the camera and spoke slowly. "Hi, I'm Dr. Evelyn Pierce. You may know me as the founder of Pierce Aesthetic Group, but tonight I'm just speaking as a mother and a woman who's sick of watching manipulators dress up as martyrs. No music, no filters, just her voice measured and lethal. My future daughter-in-law is being defamed by a woman who 2 weeks ago posted a video from the inside of my son's car without his consent, who later trespassed at my business, falsified medical referrals, and was escorted out twice. She sipped tea. I have receipts. I have footage. I have legal documentation. But more importantly, I have no patience left." And then she posted screenshots. Text messages from Madison to Monica. "I'm going to make Rachel look like a psychopath. It's easy. Just need a few edits. A drafted caption in her notes app. Make myself cry first, then record. Don't blink too much. Receipts. Timestamped." Final slide. A screenshot of the hospital's HR report. Employee Madison Blake terminated following multiple code of conduct violations, including patient privacy breach and harassment of coworkers. The comments flipped in real time. "Wait, what? You mean she planned it? Dr. Evelyn is a savage and I am living for it." And the top comment, "I want her to adopt me." Madison turned her comments off by sunrise. She tried to post a rebuttal, some vague quote about truth being silenced, but it was too late. The internet had a new queen, and it wasn't the girl in tears. It was the woman who brought facts to a feelings fight and walked away spotless. It was 10:36 a.m. on a Monday when my receptionist buzzed in. "Rachel, there's a woman here demanding to see you." She brought a mic and a film crew. I blinked. "I'm sorry." What she says, she's filming an expose on corporate bullying. She's holding a sign. I stood up so fast my chair rolled into the cabinet behind me. "Call security," I said, "and tell them to bring HR now." By the time I reached the lobby, she was already in full meltdown mode. Madison Blake in a white blazer and fake Chanel heels shouting into a smartphone on a stabilizer stick while 2 guys filmed her from different angles. This, she declared, gesturing like she was Moses parting the Red Sea of cubicles, is what workplace harassment looks like. They blackballed me. They silenced me. All because I loved the wrong man. She shoved the phone toward the receptionist. Look at her. Complicit. These are the faces of oppression. The poor girl looked like she wanted to dissolve into the ficus plant. I stepped forward. "Madison, I said calmly. "This is a place of business. You are trespassing." She spun like she'd been waiting for her cue. There she is, the Ice Queen herself. Smile for the camera, Rachel. Or are you only good at smirking behind legal threats? I glanced at the camera guys. You two work for her. They both hesitated. She said this was a documentary on abuse in corporate America. One mumbled. She paid us $50 and promised exposure, the other added. Cool, I said. You'll get exposure all right. From the police report I'm about to file, Madison scoffed. You think you scare me? No, I said, but trespassing charges do. Right on cue, 2 uniformed security guards entered. Madison stepped back, suddenly less righteous. You can't arrest me. I'm filming. This is free speech. I looked her dead in the eye. You are filming inside a private firm. You've already violated a restraining order. And you just called my receptionist an agent of oppression. That's harassment. One of the guards stepped forward. Miss Blake, you've been served with a no-contact order regarding Miss Morgan and this premises. You are now in direct violation of that court order. She blinked. You're bluffing. The other guard held up a clipboard, signed by Judge Hendricks, filed last Thursday. Congratulations, you're in contempt. The mic dropped. Literally, she dropped the mic, which clattered to the floor with a squeak. She tried to turn to the camera, tried to say something dramatic, but her voice cracked halfway through. Security didn't touch her. They simply walked beside her, slow and steady, as she stumbled out the glass doors of my office building, but not before one of the camera guys turned back and whispered, "Sorry." Didn't know she was this unstable. I smiled. Get a refund. That afternoon, the security footage leaked. Not by me, not by Evelyn, but by someone at reception who had seen too many rom-coms and not enough HR training. The clip went viral, Madison Blake shouting about being silenced while security walked her out like a bad Yelp review. Caption, when you try to cancel someone and cancel yourself instead. Top comment, girl, this is not the sequel to Erin Brockovich you think it is. Second top. At this point, I think Rachel's letting her self-destruct on camera for fun. Iconic. And honestly, they weren't wrong. The invitation came in a white linen envelope with gold script Franklin Middle School class of 2010 reunion Hilton Midtown Ballroom. I barely glanced at it until I saw Madison Blake post her RSVP on Instagram. Can't wait to see old friends and maybe rekindle some old feelings. The caption wasn't subtle. Neither was the crop top she wore in the boomerang that followed, spinning with a glass of rosé in her hand, like she was already celebrating the downfall of my marriage. Logan didn't want to go. I told him he had to. Not for nostalgia, not for school spirit. Because I needed her to think she still had a chance. We arrived at the Hilton together but separated at the lobby. I gave him a kiss, handed him a room key, and whispered, "Go smile, shake hands, pretend to be flattered. And whatever you do, don't drink anything she gives you." He grinned. "I feel like bait." "You are." Then I took the elevator to the floor above the ballroom, where I'd booked a second room under Madison's name, using a prepaid card and a little digital mischief Evelyn's IT guy helped me with. Room 6117. Inside hidden cameras, a duplicate of Logan's cologne on the dresser, and a bed made to look like it had recently been used, just in case Madison tried to fake another scene. But the real trap that was in room 519, where Logan would actually go. A room with no traceable fingerprints, only security access logs, a locked minibar, and one very sober fiancé. 10:02 p.m. text from Sam Logan's friend, "She's here." Hair curled, red lipstick. Already told 3 people you and Logan are having issues. 10:17 p.m. Another. She brought a backup dress and an overnight bag. She just asked Logan if he wanted to catch up upstairs. I didn't reply. I just waited. 10:35 p.m. Madison opened room 617 with a key card she'd stolen from Logan's jacket, a decoy card I had planted there myself. She walked in with a bottle of champagne and her phone angled downward. Recording, just in case. There was no one inside, just Logan's cologne, a tie draped on the chair, a glass with lipstick pre-applied. I watched her live from my laptop in room 5119. She did exactly what I predicted. Sighed, took off her heels, climbed onto the bed. "You'll come around," she whispered to the camera. "You always do." Then she started unbuttoning her blouse, still rolling, just in time for security to knock. I had filed a tip 30 minutes earlier. Suspicious activity, unauthorized access, possible room tampering. They entered with management. Found Madison half undressed, recording herself in a room not registered under her name. When asked, she claimed Logan had invited her, that they were rekindling something real, but the hotel pulled the logs. Logan had never scanned into that room, not once. Security footage showed her entering alone. No one else followed, and worst of all, the hidden camera she'd brought was still recording when they read her rights. The next morning, she was escorted out of the Hilton, wrapped in a hotel robe, screaming that it was all a setup. And she was right. It was, but not by some jealous woman clawing to keep a man. It is by a team of women with boundaries, lawyers, and better lighting. Me, Evelyn, and the front desk clerk who'd had enough of her BS after the 3rd fake Instagram giveaway. Logan showed up at room 519 with coffee in one hand and a bagel in the other. "She tried," he asked. "She failed," I said. He kissed my cheek, and I knew right then Madison wasn't coming back from this, because this time she didn't just get caught, she got recorded. And we weren't deleting a second of it. The email arrived at 7:42 a.m. Subject line, "You deserve to know. I'm carrying his child." I didn't even need to open it to know who it was from. But I did anyway. And there she was, Madison Blake, writing in long, poetic sentences like this was Bridgerton and not the fallout of a failed thirst trap. "Rachel, I know you hate me, but please don't take this out on the baby. I didn't plan for this, but now I have to protect what's mine. Logan needs to know he's going to be a father. No attachment, no proof, just drama." I forwarded the email to Evelyn, then poured myself a second cup of coffee and called Dr. Jamie, my friend, at the same hospital where Madison had once interned before she got herself fired. "Has Madison Blake come in for any kind of prenatal care?" I asked. Jamie didn't answer directly. Instead, she said, "You should come by. We have records." At the hospital, Jamie handed me a printed report. No HIPAA violations, we'd filed legal paperwork. Evelyn had already looped in her legal team. This was airtight. Madison Blake had checked into the ER 2 nights earlier, complaining of dizziness. She told the nurse she was pregnant, but the labs said otherwise. No HCG, no gestational sac. Nothing. She wasn't pregnant. She had never been pregnant. And buried in the file was the real kicker: extensive uterine scarring, consistent with multiple prior procedures. Natural conception unlikely without intervention. That afternoon, Madison posted a black and white sonogram on Instagram, except it wasn't her name on the top left corner, it was cropped. Badly. The internet noticed. Within an hour, someone reverse image searched the photo and found the original posted 6 months ago by a mommy blogger in Florida. The comments turned fast. "This isn't even your scan. Girl, this is Google Images. You're using someone else's baby now. Madison turned off the comments, then the account. I didn't say anything publicly, but Evelyn did. She posted a single story to her 1.4M skincare followers. There's a difference between being delusional and being dangerous. Lying about pregnancy to manipulate a man. That's not just toxic, that's criminal. Attached a screenshot of the lab report, redacted but clear. The caption, "You can't fake blood work." That night, Logan and I sat on the couch watching as the final wave of Madison's supporters vanished. He looked over at me and asked, "Do you think she'll stop now?" I took a slow sip of wine. "No," I said, "but I think the world stopped listening." The dress code was strict, black tie only. No white, cream, ivory, or accidental eggshell. We made it crystal clear on the invitations. But somehow, Madison Blake still showed up in a floor-length satin gown that could have passed for bridal if you were squinting through a cheap Instagram filter. It was tight, it was bright, and it was loud in every way that screamed, "I wasn't invited, but I want to be remembered." The ceremony was set in a glass garden atrium, orchids, live piano, rows of candles, guests murmuring softly as they took their seats, and then just as the processional music began to play, she appeared. Not walking, strutting, straight down the side aisle in stilettos, holding a gift bag like she was about to drop it on my lap and announce a pregnancy in front of the flower girls. Gasps, a few whispers, one audible, "Oh, no, she didn't," from Monica, who surprisingly had made the guest list after switching sides post-scandal. Logan turned to me. "You want me to handle it?" I shook my head. "No, I got this one." I stepped off the platform in full gown and veil. The pianist paused, uncertain. The crowd shifted in silence. I walked straight to Madison heels clicking like punctuation. She smiled small and smug. "Congratulations," she said. I brought a gift. I looked at the bag, a prenup maybe, or just a napkin with lipstick and tears. Her smile twitched. I leaned closer, keeping my voice low but clear enough for the first 2 rows to hear. "You weren't invited. You broke a restraining order, and if you don't leave in the next 30 seconds, you won't be walking out in heels, you'll be carried out in cuffs." She opened her mouth, and that's when Evelyn appeared beside me like a Greek goddess of retribution holding a walkie. "No need to count," she said to me. "Then into the radio security, front left. Escort the woman in the bridal cosplay out of the venue." The doors opened almost instantly. 2 off-duty NYPD officers in suits stepped forward. Calm, efficient, unapologetic. Madison backed up. "You can't do this. This is a public venue, it's not." Evelyn said, smiling, "It's owned by my company." Cue, blink, stutter, denial. "I was invited." "No, sweetie." I said gently, "You were blocked." As they led her out, guests began to murmur again, this time in laughter. A ripple of relief. And just before she reached the door, someone in the crowd called out, "Hey, Madison, what shade of desperate is that dress?" Even the piano player cracked a smile. 5 minutes later, we resumed the ceremony. Logan took my hand, still grinning. "You look radiant." I tilted my head. "Better or worse than the other girl in white?" "Not even close," he said. Then finally, I said I do. And this time there were no cameras rolling, no drama in heels, no fake miscarriages, no Instagram captions to compete with. Just peace and vows and the quiet, perfect knowledge that I'd already outlasted every one of her schemes. It was exactly 11:07 a.m. on a rainy Thursday when I walked into a boutique coffee shop in Soho, the kind that sells pour-overs with attitude and pastries that cost more than a cocktail. I was early for a client meeting. The rain was brutal. My heels were soaked, and I was not prepared for what I saw behind the espresso bar. Madison Blake. Hair dull. Roots grown out. Uniform one size too big. No filter, no ring light, no good side angled toward a camera. She was wiping down the counter like she hadn't once tried to steal a husband, fake a pregnancy, and live stream her way into someone else's life. For a second, I didn't think she'd notice me. Then she looked up, and her hands froze. I didn't flinch. I stepped forward. The line was short. The girl at the register, a bubbly NYU undergrad in cat-eye glasses, greeted me first. "Hi, what can I get started for you?" I smiled. Oat milk flat white. And one of those matcha shortbreads. Coming right up. Name for the order. Before I could speak, Madison turned away. Just quietly walked to the back counter as if I were smoke in the air. But I leaned in a little. Just enough. Put it under Mrs. Pierce. The girl smiled. "You got it, and Madison." She didn't look back. A few minutes later, she placed the cup on the pickup shelf. No eye contact, no fake smile attempt, just one motion, one barely controlled tremble in her hand as she adjusted the cup sleeve. And there it was, written in her loopy, overtrained barista handwriting, "Pierce, not Rachel." Not Ms., just the last name, the one she'd spent a year trying to own, the one I'd earned, not stolen. I picked up the drink, took a slow sip. Then I said it quiet but clear enough for her to hear. "This is the best thing you've ever made for me." She stiffened, didn't speak, didn't blink, just grabbed a rag and started scrubbing a clean corner of the counter like her life depended on it. And maybe, in a way, it did, because she wasn't Madison Blake anymore, not the star, not the seductress, not the silent victim. She was just the girl who lost. As I walked out, the barista called behind me, "Have a good one, Mrs. Pierce." I turned just enough to lock eyes with Madison and smiled, not because I needed her to suffer, not because I wanted revenge, but because she finally saw herself the way the world saw her. Not as the main character, just a cautionary tale behind a cash register. 2 weeks after the coffee shop run-in, I was in my father's office reviewing quarterly numbers for Linthera Pharmaceuticals when I saw a flagged note in his calendar, meeting with Emser Blake, Philanthropy Initiative Follow-Up. I stared at it. Not because of the philanthropy, because of the name. Madison Blake. I buzzed his assistant. "Hey, did he actually meet with someone named Madison Blake last year?" She hesitated. "Yeah." She came in a few times, said she was starting a mental health nonprofit for young women, claimed she knew you. I assumed it was one of your old classmates. It wasn't. It was a play. And I was about to find out just how deep it went. My dad was out golfing, so I dug. Not illegally, not even sneakily, just methodically. I searched our CRM donation logs, visitor passes. Madison Blake had used 3 different emails, 2 phone numbers, and 1 very curated backstory, estranged from family, starting fresh. Wants to help girls like her. Looking for a strategic investor who believes in redemption, and attached to one of the proposal decks, a photo. Her, in a modest dress, next to a fake logo, and beneath it, in partnership with Mr. Morgan's office. She'd already started using my father's name to get legitimacy. I checked the timestamps. This wasn't new. This had started months before she reached out to Logan. Madison never wanted Logan. She wanted leverage. She wanted the Pierce name to get credibility. She wanted my family connections to raise capital. She wanted to go from TikTok sob story to young female founder overnight. And Logan, he was just the gateway drug. When my father got home, I showed him the emails. He scrolled, frowned, then handed me back the iPad. I had no idea she knew you personally. She was persistent, but I thought she was just overly eager. She was using us, I said. She thought marrying Logan would get her close to Linthera. He nodded. She ever contact you again? Not directly, I said, but I think she's waiting for the dust to settle. My dad leaned back in his chair. Then maybe it's time we make sure it doesn't. 2 days later, we sent a formal cease and desist. Public. Legally binding. CC'd to every investor mailing list she'd ever tried to slide into. Evelyn posted a press release that same day Pierce Aesthetic Group and Linthera Pharmaceuticals do not associate with Ms. Blake her ventures or any initiative falsely claiming partnership. No drama, no hashtags, just cold precision. Madison tried to clap back. One of her burner accounts posted, "Money is power, but truth is louder." No one cared, because the truth had already won. And all the money she thought she could seduce her way into, it closed its doors, quietly, permanently. That night, Logan made dinner, truffle ravioli and too much wine. I sat at the kitchen island barefoot and finally still. "You okay?" he asked. I smiled. Better than okay. Because for the first time, I didn't feel like I'd won against her. I felt like she was never in the running to begin with. It happened on a Sunday night. I was curled on the couch, half watching a rerun of The Crown and half answering work emails, when Monica texted me a link with only 3 words, "You need this." I clicked. Madison Blake had gone live again, but this time there was no lighting, no filters, no crying on cue. She was sitting in a dim, cluttered apartment. Eyes, red hair, flat, no script. Just a phone balanced on a stack of old textbooks and a look in her eyes that said she knew she'd reached the end of the internet. She pressed go live and started talking. I know nobody wants to hear from me, but I need to say something. She inhaled shaky, looked off camera, then straight back. I did a lot of things I regret. I lied to people who tried to help me. I made up stories because I was scared of being nobody. I wanted to belong to something bigger even if I had to fake it. She looked away, then forced herself to continue. I thought if I could get close to the right people, I'd be safe, or famous, or just seen. I hurt a lot of women who didn't deserve it, especially Rachel. I tried to ruin her wedding, her job, her family. She never fought back the way I expected. She just won quietly. I wish I'd known how to do that. There was a long silence. She wiped her nose on her sleeve, completely unfiltered. I can't undo what I did. I lost everything trying to steal something that was never mine. And then her phone slipped clattering sideways. The camera flipped, catching her reflection in a cracked mirror, the apartment messier than she'd meant to show. She scrambled to turn it off, but accidentally pressed a button. The app switched cameras. Suddenly, the world could see the tabs she'd left open: job listings, how to file for bankruptcy, an email draft addressed to my father, a half-written message to Logan never sent. The live stream ended there. 30 seconds of accidental, devastating honesty. The internet moved fast. Someone clipped the moment, re-uploaded it, and wrote, "When the villain finally admits she lost and we all see she's just another girl behind the screen." Top comment. She should have just worked the register and left other people's lives alone. I didn't watch it more than once, not because I wanted to forget, but because finally I didn't care. The next day, Monica texted again, It's over. And it was. No more drama, no more lies, no more ghosts. I woke up, made coffee, and looked out the window, my wedding band cold and solid against my skin. Logan passed behind me, pressed a kiss to my shoulder. "You ready for a drama-free week?" I laughed. "I think the universe owes us at least one." And for the first time, I believed it. Because Madison's story wasn't a romance or a tragedy. It was a warning. And I was done being a character in her show.